Usually when we try to get Rick Hector on the program, he's awesome. I mean, he calls right back. Yesterday, we thought something might have happened to Rick. I think it's because so many people are wanting to get their right to carry license because Detroit is getting worse, despite the M&M commercial, despite the, maybe because of, I don't know. When M&M is your spokesman for the city, it is a sign that all is not well in D-Town. But Rick is with us on the program tonight. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man, I'm great, Cameron. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm glad you could be with us. You staying busy?
I'm staying busy. I'd like to be even more busy. I'm on a mission. The crime here is bad. I mean, every so often, I'm sure you hear about something that happens here, down where you guys are.
Yeah.
My fervent belief is that the more law-abiding citizens who legally carry guns, the safer we're going to be, over the long haul. We just have to reach that tipping point. I'm not sure what that magic number is, but as more of us become armed, I'm looking for the benefit of criminals thinking twice or maybe 3 or 4 times before they decide to ply their trade on unsuspecting law-abiding citizens.
I hope so. I mean, because the way things are going, it seems like that may be the one thing that could convince criminals to lay off the citizens of Detroit. I mean, you've got this article, actually a series of articles over the weekend in the Detroit Free Press talking about 10 years of right to carry in Michigan. And I love the headline, 10 years after concealed weapons law, unclear why many in state were gun shy. That says it all, Rick. It's been a decade, and the people who are opposed to right to carry in Michigan really don't have any evidence that they can point to and say, see, we were right.
Well, yeah. I mean, here locally, it's no different than what, some of the naysayers were saying in other states. But particularly in Michigan and in the Metro Detroit area, we had a lot of influential politicians and clergy members come out against the right to the shall issue right to carry legislation that came out 10 years ago. I mean, we had 2 very prominent and noted county prosecutors who wanted to just remove themselves from the process altogether, and not be a part of the system. And then we had one county executive who declared that, he's just going to put up a sign, welcome to the Dodge City. It's like shootout at the OK Corral. All these folks were saying that there was going to be, bloodshed, blood running in the streets, that these law-abiding citizens who jumped through all the hurdles and met all the requirements could not be trusted to be law-abiding with their firearms, and we've definitely proven them wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, as the Detroit Free Press points out, less than 2% of right-to-carry holders have had their permits revoked for any reason whatsoever.
When you say for any reason whatsoever, I mean, sure enough, there could be something serious, but, I mean, they're quick to yank, to take action against someone. If you've just been merely accused of something, that gives them the right to automatically suspend you pending disposition of what was officially found.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, less than 2%, we're definitely have proven that we're more law-abiding as a group than the general population at large.
Oh, absolutely. And meanwhile, I'm just looking at some of the crime statistics. In 2001, violent crime rate in Michigan, 554 violent crimes per 100,000. Now it's down to 497. The number of murders has dropped from 6.7 down to 6.3. Rapes have fallen. Robberies have dropped a little bit as well. Aggravated assaults are down. That's 10 years after right to carry. The crime rate has gone down in the state of Michigan, not up.
Overall, in the state of Michigan, it has. And one of the things, that was pointed out, in some of the stories that came out was that we still have some areas in the state where crime is really still an issue. We still have, the bad economy. We still have the prisons basically letting violent offenders out early. We got poor response rates in some of our larger communities, such as Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
You call 911, they put you on hold. You know, they're literally understaffed, undermanned, and they can't be everywhere. And there have been several stories out of Detroit that's hit the national media that I know you heard about. The one barbershop shooting where the two armed thugs came in and announced a robbery, and one conceal holder, put an end to that very quickly. And then there was a story recently about the woman who lived alone. Her son, a military guy, left her a gun. She called it mercy. And she woke up one night and some thug was standing over her while she was in the bed sleeping,
I remember that.
These are things that are coming out of the city, and hopefully it encourages folks to take a second look at becoming more involved and taking a more active role in their personal protection.
I hope so, because, look, when you get into Detroit, let's be honest, Rick, maybe if every law-abiding citizen in Detroit were a right-to-carry holder, the criminals would have second thoughts. But, I hope that people become right-to-carry holders in Detroit, not because they're interested in lowering the violent crime rate, but because they want to be able to protect themselves if they are the victim of a violent crime. There are a lot of problems in Detroit that I think are helping to lead to violent crime.
And, I hate to say it, but it's potentially could get a lot worse fairly quickly.
I know it could.
The government announced plans to put a term limit on the amount of time that a person could be on, state benefits, with regards to, I guess they call it general relief, So it's not it's not a grandfather clause, no sundown clause on it. So we could very, very seriously, very soon see a huge population of people taking off the rolls, and some of those people might get desperate.
Yeah. And, let me ask you, Rick, because I was reading a story from Charlie LaDuff, who is one of the reporters at Fox 2 in Detroit. And he talked about this $30 million program that Mayor Bing announced back in February of Project 14, $30 million in federal money to encourage police officers to move back to the city. They would get $25,000 for a down payment. They'd get up to $150,000 on renovations. They'd have the possibility of having their mortgages forgiven. And yet 0 police officers have taken advantage of this. One cop told Charlie LaDuff, quote, "It's too dangerous."
That's one of the very interesting things about this whole thing. We got roughly 50% of our key public service employees, when we're talking about police and fire, who have moved out of the city and don't have any plans of coming back to the city. It's too dangerous, And one of the things that Mayor Bing is saying is, well, if we can convince these cops and firefighters to come back, maybe it'll alleviate some of the problems. And so far he hasn't had any takers on it. And, to be honest, I'm not truly surprised.
Yeah. Well, LaDuff points out, he says, in terms of some of the other, emergency service, he says on some nights they're running 14 ambulances in all of Detroit. He says that's less than Cleveland, which is a city half the size of Detroit. Sometimes fire trucks are replaced with pickup trucks because, as Charlie Duff says, nobody downtown seems competent enough to fix the rigs. So, look, if you're a law enforcement officer and you know that the emergency services are so depleted and demoralized, and just aren't functional, why would you choose to move back?
Cam, I'm not going to, sugarcoat it. We're in a bad way, and it potentially could be worse. But you know what? Here's the thing that I love about this town. It's my hometown. I'm probably never going to leave, but it's home. And you know what? As a city, I truly believe that there's a core of people here who are fighters and not going to quit and not going to give up on the city. It's just a question of certain individuals, law-abiding citizens, just have not taken that mental leap where they're willing to become completely responsible for their safety.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking about protecting themselves against violent crime or making contingency plans to getting to the hospital, when they need an ambulance.
Well,
whatever the case may be, we got to do what we have to do, and hopefully more people will step up and assume that responsibility.
Listen, man, we were talking earlier about the need for fighters to stay in these battleground states like California and Massachusetts and New York, and keep fighting the good fight. We need that. I think we need as many activists and advocates as we can get in the city of Detroit. So listen, Rick, I'm glad that you're there. Stay safe, my friend, and I do look forward to talking to you again very soon.